This is actually one of the saddest news for migrants to the United States would hear, but then everything needs to be fixed properly. So, what if one of the oldest constitutional rights in America suddenly comes under threat? Imagine a baby being born in the US, but instead of automatically becoming an American citizen, that child is denied citizenship because of who the parents are. That is exactly the issue at the center of one of the biggest legal and political battles in modern US history. President Donald Trump argued that birthright citizenship was never intended for the children of wealthy foreigners or undocumented immigrants. Instead, he said it was originally meant to protect the children of formerly enslaved people after the Civil War. But the US Supreme Court disagreed, striking down Trump's executive order and reaffirming that the 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship to almost everyone born on American soil. For crying out loud, why won't you stay in your country? What is that specialty that you want to give birth in America so that your child will be an American citizen? You want the benefits, right? What if you invest the energy in your own country and bring out the best from there? You see the reason why South Africans are fighting and demanding that their soil, that migrants and foreigners should leave their country, and they want to take care of themselves by themselves. Why are we so American conscious? Well, today we'll explain what birthright citizenship really means, why Trump wants to change it, what the Constitution actually says, why the Supreme Court ruled against him, and what this decision could mean for millions of future Americans. Let's get started. What is birthright citizenship? Birthright citizenship simply means that if you are born in the US, you automatically becomes a US citizen. This principle comes from the 14th Amendment of the United States adopted in 1868 after the Civil War. So it has spanned centuries, right? It states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. The amendment was passed during Reconstruction after slavery ended. Its immediate purpose was to guarantee citizenship to formerly enslaved African Americans who had previously been denied full legal rights. So, actually, the essence of making anyone born in America to become an American citizen was because those slaves did not have legal and full rights, and then their kids were now born, and to ensure that because at this moment they don't have anywhere to go after the transatlantic slave trade. So the only way for them is to naturalize them as American citizens so that they can have their legal rights over there, right? However, over time, courts interpreted the amendment more broadly. For more than a century, the general understanding has been that nearly every child born in America automatically becomes an American citizen, regardless of the immigration status of the parents, right? Now, why is Trump opposing this? Donald Trump has long argued that this interpretation encourages illegal immigration and so-called birth tourism. Yeah, a lot of people, especially from my country in Africa, love to give birth in the United States, and it's a thing of pride. My kid was born in the US. I went to US to give birth. I'm just so sick, wondering what exactly is that privilege that you cannot. I don't know how to describe it, but it's the thing of pride for a lot of Africans, especially that their kids are born in the US, especially US, not any other country, right? So I don't know why they have such medical birth tourism attached to it. It's been there. Birth tourism refers to foreigners traveling to America specifically to give birth so that their children becomes US citizens. And guess what? In some countries, you cannot have dual citizenship, right? But in US, it's different. Trump believes this creates incentive for people to misuse the immigration system. And I want to agree with him at this point because It's even giving that lacuna for a lot of countries that wouldn't want to sit back and develop their own countries. According to his argument, the 14th Amendment was never intended to provide citizenship to children of people who enter the country illegally or temporarily. It means that this birth tourism, immigrants who are seeking asylum, if you are born in the US, you don't have any legal right to be an American citizen, right? So he has repeatedly said that the amendment was designed primarily to protect former slaves and their descendants after the Civil War, not everyone born on the US soil. Because of this belief, Trump signed an executive order attempting to limit birthright citizenship. Wow, and I would have loved that to happen. Okay, now this is the legal challenge. Almost immediately, the lawsuits were filed. Civil rights organizations, immigration advocates, and several states argued that the president cannot change the constitution simply by signing an executive order. They insisted that only a constitutional amendment or a completely different interpretation by the Supreme Court could alter birthright citizenship. Lower court blocked Trump's order. Eventually, the issue reached the U.S. Supreme Court. This because become one of the most closely watched constitutional case in recent American history. Now, what is a Supreme Court decision? Let's talk about it. The majority concluded that the 14th Amendment continues to guarantee citizenship to children born in U.S., even if their parents are undocumented immigrants or are in a country temporarily. So it didn't scale through. If you still go for your birth tourism, if your parents are immigrants and you happen to fall pregnant and give birth, you are still a U.S. citizen, right? So the court relied on long-standing constitutional interpretation and earlier legal precedents, right? So the ruling were widely viewed as a major defeat for Trump immigration agenda. However, the decision also revealed disagreements among the justices over how the 14th Amendment should be interpreted, while, okay, with dissecting opinions arguing for a narrowing reading of the amendment's original papers. Basically, the original papers of this amendment was for um American slaves to have legal rights. Every other thing was not part of it. And I think Trump was right with what he's saying, but he can't just give an executive order, right? And it scales through, although it did not scale through. So now what was Trump's reaction to all of this? Trump, of course, strongly criticized the ruling. He argued that the court misunderstood the original intent of the 14th Amendment. Rather than abandoning the issue, he said he would continue pursuing changes through Congress and other legal avenues. Of course, he's not giving up. He is not giving up, not so soon. All right, because it is the truth. The truth is that medical tourism or birth tourism does not guarantee you an American citizenship. But then he can't just have it the way he wants. Supporters believe America should tighten citizenship rules to discourage illegal migration. Critics argued that changing birthright citizenship would create uncertainty for millions of families and weaken constitutional protections that have existed for generations. And now, why does this matter? It raises important questions. Should the Constitution be interpreted based on its original historical papers, or should it be interpreted according to more than a century of legal precedent? The outcome affects immigration policy, constitutional law, and the identity of future generation of Americans. Whatever one's political view is, this case will likely remain one of the defining constitutional debates of the modern era. Now, the battle over birthright citizenship is far from over. Although the Supreme Court rejected Trump's executive order, the political debate actually is still on, and some lawmakers may still seek legislative or constitutional changes, while others argued that the existing interpretation protects one of America's most fundamental constitutional promises. Now it's your turn. So, do you think the birthright citizenship should remain exactly as it is, or should the law be changed? Share your opinion respectfully in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss in-depth coverage of major world events. Thank you for watching. I will see you again in my next video. Bye.